All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 46.
Y'all, Mittermeier is about to make use of some lightning speed tactics and go straight to the heart of the Alliance.
The Alliance that only has 20,000 ships to defend their main capital.
They are led by Bucock.
Yes.
Which is in some ways making me sad because that means Bucock is basically like on death's door. However, Bucock, I would say, is one of the Alliance general admiralty that I have the utmost faith in his ability to utilize his fleet to the utmost.
Right. He is a walking war museum.
Right. Yeah. He might not be the quickest in terms of reaction time because I could see him getting stumped by some kind of basic tactic in terms of how quickly he would respond to it.
Okay.
But I could also see him putting up a perfect strategy for what he has.
Right.
To where basic tactics don't make him lose that many ships.
Yeah.
It's just...
He's seen just about everything there is that you can throw against him.
Right.
Yeah.
He might not be a wizard like Yang, but he is basically the paladin, and the auras of buffs around him are just strong.
Right, he's the stoic old dwarf that's I've seen this.
I've weathered it all.
You think you can surprise me with your clever lightning strikes and things like that?
These youngins haven't been around long enough to be a problem for me.
Exactly.
I might be retreating 80% of the time, but I'll
it's
come
all
out
part
on
of the
top
plan.
it. Exactly. Now. This guy, Mr. Sandwich, chef of godlike wisdom,
and bred for war.
Yes, exactly. He is exactly what the Alliance needs right now. Just to come in there and be like, guys, this is basically the end. We need to give Yang every reason to do whatever he wants. We don't even need to order him really to do this. Just say,
take the hands off. We are officially out of your way. We're sorry. Please
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now,
and they did. They gave him that order.
Yeah.
You know?
What's wonderful about this is that Yang could literally just be like, all right, I'm going to stop Ruintal. I'm going to hunker down and we're going to wait this out.
Or I'm going to...
Or he could be like, I'm going to be the most annoying-ass little fleet around Alliance space, just peppering Reinhardt and just the general fleet, and they're just going to be like, what? Stop him, please.
Right.
And it's just like, he's just got a small fleet, and they're just jumping in, doing a little bit of damage, and then they just leave.
Oh, man.
That could be so perfect.
I'm really excited to see how this goes.
Yeah. What kind of war will this be? Will this be just lightning fast... Blitzkrieg,
hit and run.
Mittermeier just goes right through everything. There's no chance that Bucock has because of the overwhelming number difference. Or is this going to become a war of attrition, where this is just the second stage of the battle? The war as a whole drags out a little bit. I mean,
who knows?
Yeah. It's going to get
anything
interesting.
Could happen.
Yeah. Is Yang going to get put in charge of Bucock's fleet at some point, and then Yang actually has a sizable force of which he can do some
real damage? I don't know.
With? Yeah.
There's this crazy idea that I've had of what if Yang managed to beat Ruintal and then just went into Empire space?
Yeah, I
don't think that would work. That wouldn't work. But what if
they're each at each other's capitals suing for peace?
And then freaking Fejon starts trouble, and then it's the what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I really feel like it has to go for the long haul because Fejon is the key in the long term.
Right.
Fejon will become an annoying colony of sorts for the Empire.
Yeah, ticking time bomb. The longer it's a thing that they're relying on, the bigger a problem it can be.
Exactly. And then as long as we don't lose Iserlohn just in general,
right?
At least Yang will have somewhere he could fall back to if things go really bad. But y'all, this is all speculation. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right.
Iserlohn's been reclaimed.
The Iserlohn battle in the corridor is over.
Yep.
Ruintal, Lutz, and Lennenkampf did well. They did fall for a small bait trap from Yang and Attenborough's kind of combined idea there.
But it was an intentional sort of, this is a this isn't too bad of a sacrifice if there is a bit of a problem there, and we'll get to learn what their plan is, and they did. There you go.
Yep.
And they found the bombs, but there is something more to it. There's a plan that we don't know that specifically required that the fortress be undamaged. Yeah. And we both had a thought.
We both had kind of the same thought.
That Schoenkampf and the Rosenritter might have been left behind.
But no, Schoenkampf was there.
Schoenkampf was there. So
and I don't think he would split off from his
the
Rosenritter.
No, exactly.
So in some ways, I can think of three things. One, they're not going to damage it irreparably. It's a thing of where the trap is that once they lower their guard, they'll do something else with maybe some kind of sabotage that will then force them to repair the Iserlohn and keep them there. I think this is the weakest of all the theories that we have. And then we have another theory that it doesn't have to be the Rosenritter. It could just be any squad of soldiers that's there specifically to then bring about an easy capture of the fortress later. But I think there's an even better theory than that, and that is that there is some way that they will have some kind of bypass through a lot of the defense systems of Iserlohn, so that when they go to take it back with, say, the Rosenritter and Schoenkampf, they know what kind of things they'll be...
a back door.
Yeah, they know what kind of things will make it easy.
Now, but the problem is that especially with Ruenthal, in command...
Yeah.
Upon capturing the fortress, the first thing they would do is, okay, we found some bombs, cool, but let's not assume that that's all there was.
Right.
Let's go through and diagnostics, deep search of everything, especially since we don't need to do anything else for the invasion of Alliance space.
Right.
We're just the anvil here in case they try and escape or anything.
Exactly. And we can even leave only 10,000 ships here and go join up with Reinhardt if we wanted, and we'd still be able to hold that line. Because remember, there's two other fleets back in the Iserlohn corridor and back at Odin that will keep this line very secure in that regard. And they could even communicate that with Reinhardt so that Reinhardt advances Eisenach's fleet up to Iserlohn to reinforce the group that Ruenthal leaves there, for instance. Because in some ways, the main important thing is keeping... I would say just kind of order in the Empire's space, but the actual border on the back end of Iserlohn isn't really as important anymore because they have Iserlohn.
Exactly.
So, there's some interesting things that can go about there.
Yeah, and the whole theme that was set up in the previous episode of, okay, well, if soldiers win glory and accolades and everything through war, what happens when the war is about to end, right?
Yep.
And that was continued here with Ruenthal's whole comment of, the hunting dogs don't want to hunt the beasts to extinction because then they can't hunt anymore. And
then what's the point of
Captain's
them?
like, sir, you are the commanding officer, but could you not say things like that, please?
Yeah. Oh, right. That wasn't Lutz that said that. That's right. That was his XO.
Yeah, exactly.
So what that means in some ways is that what they're building up here on the Empire side of things, and very consistently, I might add, is that soldiers of fortune are going to start popping up. And the guy at the end who embezzled the goods is another example of that. He wasn't necessarily trying to do something, in a way that would harm the Empire.
It was nothing crazy.
He was just getting a little greedy. And thus... he basically was, subverting the chain of command, doing something that was beneath his station, and thus court-martialed, and Ruenthal freaking executed him himself.
And I gotta say, I really respect Ruenthal for doing that. That was, back with Mittermeier's whole situation. Now, granted, there were, multiple people that needed to be executed, so it would be kind of, okay, bang, bang,
but
bang,
it shows
bang.
the difference between the two of them.
And as far as someone who's going to lead, take action, maybe have ambitions of their own, things like that, it's cool to see that they're not just having other people do their dirty work, right? That if he sentences someone to die, he does it himself because he believes that, he truly believes that is what needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much advancing of pawns and trading of pieces and things like that can happen in wartime that for these commanding officers, in order to really maintain loyalty and things like that with their underlings, essentially, how do you make it so that you show them that you really do deserve to be in the commanding position.
Right, because you can respect the title, you can respect the position, and I would say that's something that no soldier who's been trained and set up for this has problems with. That's something that's baked into you at like basic level, and stuff like that.
Yeah, you need to have people that tell the other people what to do.
Right, but there is a difference between respecting the chain of command and respecting the person
in command.
Right,
exactly.
And that is what I think Ruental, like you're saying, is going for here, is that he's trying to establish his own little cult of personality. And that is dangerous. Like, that is something to where people might go, and we've got Ruental, it's fine. Because that's kind of what this embezzler guy was bringing up. He's like, yeah, Reinhard might have a cult of personality and be a genius and all that.
Right, but he was taking things himself, how is that any different than for what I'm doing, other than that I'm doing it in a smaller scale?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
In some ways, he's like, what I'm doing is then nothing compared to him,
right, exactly.
what he's done.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not killing anybody by doing this. I'm not, whatever, right? It's, it's probably just, hey, I'll set myself up a little bit better, and there you go.
Yeah, what he's basically saying is like, hey, I'm an opportunist too. I'm just following the mark of my leader, my great, glorious, imperviously perfect leader, just completely flawless, right? So then is the only difference between him and I that I got caught and I just didn't have the might necessary to make it right?
And Ruental's like,
yes, that's exactly the difference. And bam, kills him.
And in fact, I'm not going to speak against you for the fact that you did this. I'm speaking against you for the fact that you're complaining that you got caught.
Right.
It's
like you're wailing about this now.
Right. Yeah. You decided to play the game,
and you lost.
Yep. It was your choice to play the game. Okay. Yeah. Cool decision. Bye.
Bam. Yeah.
There you go.
That's just terrifying that's where Ruental's perspective is, because the fact that he orchestrated, the death of his mother there, right? That was him in the backstory?
Or
wait,
I don't think so.
Am I misinterpreting things?
I don't
I need to go back
Yeah.
and check Ruental's
his backstory was a while ago, but I don't think he did that.
No. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll go back and check that stuff. There's a lot of details I have about the characters that have just it's been a while since we've discussed that stuff.
Right, but it is very much showing, by bringing it back up at the beginning of this episode, that it is very, very much relevant in the here and now, that Ruental is starting to take center stage, even if he's on sort of the other side of the galaxy, or the other side of this galactic space. Because that statement that he made to the guy before he executed him wasn't just for the guy. Because the guy's going to die, right? That, okay, maybe it's something as a point of pride for Ruental himself, but I think what it really was is it was for all the men watching. Because no one would argue with him in this case. He's the one carrying out the execution, in fact, right? So they know that he believes in what he's doing. But the statement that he says, and it could be just taken as a way of denouncing this person that broke the chain of command, that broke, military law, all that stuff.
Right.
And is now paying for it. It's also him basically saying, if someone were to do that, and they did it well, that's not necessarily something to be punished.
Yeah. Okay, so what I think I remember on the base level of what Ruental's story was that I believe his father might have orchestrated his mother's death or something like that.
What I think it was is that it was something where because
Let me go back to our old
because
notes.
he was basically the proof of the illegitimate he was the illegitimate child, and proof of that with the differing color of eyes, right?
Yeah.
His mother hated him, wanted him to die, right? And then his father also did, because of it was that reminder of his mistake that caused all of this additional trouble.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what the order of it was and the details and such, but it was something where both his parents hated him, and I believe either his biological mother or his familial mother ended up basically killing herself. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think it was something where basically their house was thrown into a lot of disarray because of how they felt about his existence.
Right, and then he thus has the feelings imprinted into him from there, raising him that his being born was a mistake.
Right.
But he's like, but since I was born, I may as well do all I can.
Exactly.
So this is him kind of testing the limits of what his existence will bring him to.
Right.
So in that respect, he kind of is a dead man walking.
Yep.
Which calls back to that moment with Shunkov where he tangoed with the devil, basically, and he didn't die. He got lucky, and he kind of has the devil's luck, to make a Berserk reference there. But he is, I would say, very much the opportunist then in that regard. The fact that he's survived thus far means he probably had to make those kinds of decisions in order to survive.
And in a lot of ways, now that Kierheis is dead, he's kind of similar to Reinhardt. Because Reinhardt, he's, last episode, he was thinking about how, what do I do afterwards? Let's say I get the universe. What then?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because he doesn't really, he's not, there's no overwhelming reason of why he's doing it other than because he can.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, what then? And in the case of Ruental, one of the other things that I loved about it is that when he had this whole dream, like this is one of those callbacks that like Legend of Galactic Heroes has done these repeatedly, but I love that they do it because it's, on a big show like this with so many characters, having callbacks to, 20 episodes ago or whatever it was.
It's important.
I love it, right?
Yeah.
That when he woke up, he was like, did I say anything? No? Okay, don't... Pay me no mind, go about your business, right? Because he remembers that when he got, drunk with Mittermeier that one time, he kind of spilled the beans, right? So now he's like, okay, do I have a vulnerability that I need to be aware of? No? Okay, good. All right. I didn't let anything slip. I can proceed as planned.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good little moment there, because then he ends up having that moment with him at the end of the episode where he does say something that's a little bit like, oh,
yeah,
maybe Ruental, sir, you shouldn't say that. That's a problem.
Right, that could cause misunderstandings. And I love how I believe he's the captain of this particular ship.
I can go back and check in the notes to see who he is in the...
Yeah, he has a very distinctive beard.
Yes, yes.
But I believe...
he's the fleet chief of staff for Ruental.
Right.
He was a former Kierheis...
Drunk subordinate in episode 5.
Drunk subordinate.
That's right,
And then he was transferred to Ruental's command after the death of Kierheis.
Right.
So he's a rear admiral. He's not a captain. He's a pretty big deal.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's something where he is basically, in how he says it, giving Ruental the benefit of the doubt of, I know you didn't mean anything treasonous, sir, but people could get the wrong idea. So it's on the one hand saying, if that was treasonous, one, you don't need to worry about me because I'm not going to say anything about it. Yeah. But two, I didn't think that's what it was, so I definitely wouldn't need to be silenced, sir.
Yes.
And I just want to let you know for your sake and everything that people could get the wrong idea, so that might not be something that you want to say.
Yeah, it's the perfect...
With all due respect, sir.
It's the perfect way for a subordinate to remind their superior that, hey, that might not be best said outside of my ear.
Right.
Like, you probably should keep that one to yourself. But hey... you're my commanding officer, so I'm not telling you what to do here.
And this was just said between the two of us, and I'm saying this between the two of us, so this doesn't leave just the two of us, right?
Right.
So, theoretically, if you did silence me, yes, that would absolutely be the end of it. I will trust that you will think that what doesn't need to happen, of course, but, there you go.
So then the other big thing this episode was... can we really sacrifice the overall strategic value of Iserlohn Fortress for a small tactical victory elsewhere? And Yang is like, usually no, but Iserlohn doesn't really have as much strategic value, and there is a tactical victory that could win us everything if we make it. And that is that, Reinhardt doesn't have any heirs. So what happens if he dies?
Yep.
I love the way he even said it, like, Reinhardt is single. And then I just, in my mind, just started crying. I'm like, if only Kierheis
I know. Yep.
like, it's the ship that never got to sail, that never got to see Alliance space together. I know. So,
Yep.
Yang is going to hatch a plan to take out their entire initiative.
Yeah. And
if he can, by killing Reinhardt.
Which, I gotta say...
That is ballsy as hell.
That is incredibly ballsy because... Okay, Reinhardt doesn't just have like a fleet. He has like a super fleet. He has like 5 fleets that are all just roaming around as a wolf pack in space.
Right.
Like, you don't assail that. No, sorry, 5 fleets other than his own. Right.
Right.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
How are you going to do this, Yang?
Right.
Like,
the third fleet, it has a lot of awesome personnel within it, but it is basically a super fleet. We are not 100% sure how big it is in correlation to the rest of the fleet.
Right. We don't know how many ships there are in total.
Right.
But it's a lot.
But it is potentially much bigger, potentially even a 6 to 1.
Yeah. I would not be
there.
surprised if it was almost exactly that.
Yeah. The big thing, though, to just be in mind, though, is that when it all comes down to it, though, it might just be a single fleet. And if that's the case, then, and Reinhardt does end up being in the middle of, at least 2 or 3 other fleets,
Yeah.
He's still just one guy on one ship that is a plain as day, obvious, like, there's his ship.
Right. And I would not be surprised at all if, given the stuff that was gone over in the previous episode with, I think, Bearlane was the guy's name, that what if, like, I don't know, one of the people ends up getting kind of crazy, cocky, drunk on, whatever, and just decides to pull Darth Malak for any of you KOTOR fans out there.
Sure.
And it's just like, let's just turn over and just pop Reinhardt, Like,
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But the risk isn't zero.
And the risk is not zero.
And if
because
it did
Ruenthal is
happen-
out there, and if there's any kind of political play within, things there, it could get interesting.
Yeah, like imagine if Ruenthal had like secretly somehow gotten friendly with a certain person that was going to be near Reinhardt or something, and then it's just like, all right, it's time. Because then everything descends into chaos, and then Ruenthal and Mittermeier, they're the 2 most competent people left other than Yang.
It would basically come down to Mittermeier and Ruenthal to be able to be like, hey, it's sad, we've executed the traitor, but let's,
a crazy person drunk on power, we will keep the Empire strong.
That's literally what I'm saying, is basically that they're like, but he would want us to finish this to completion.
Exactly.
They subjugate everything, and then we go back home, and we are the conquering heroes. So,
and the golden martyr.
Who do they, look to basically try and keep things? But that's why I think the reason why that's not going to happen is Reinhardt still has pretty awesome people surrounding him.
Yes.
Even people that we might not necessarily like them as a person, like who they are in that respect. They are the kind of people, though, that would not let anything bad happen to Reinhardt.
Yeah.
So
I
think if anything, things are going to go really well here. Yang is moving into Alliance space, though, so it's going to be a massive, basically cats and mice kind of battle going on here, and I'm all for it. So let's go, y'all. Let's go.
Oh my God, going after Reinhardt, it's gonna be insane.
Bukak needs to be maybe even a distraction in that regard.
Sure. Yeah, try and lure some of Reinhardt's fleet away.
Yeah, it'll also be fun to see how the early warning systems for fleets that are having other ships coming out of FTL. How quickly they can respond.
Yeah.
Because that will be key, I would say, to Yang doing any kind of harassing strategy.
Sure. Well, okay. And last thing I'll say, I think this could be one of the ways that the antsiness of Reinhardt's lower, his subordinates wanting to earn glory, is that they get greedy and try and pursue Bukak or whoever.
Or Yang.
Or Yang. Well,
Sure.
But what if they try and pursue Bukak, which just draws them away from Reinhardt and then allows the opportunity for Yang, if he found some way to hide a fleet in some, area where their scanners can't see into it, then he comes out and he's like, haha.
Got you.
Let's
It's now a
fight
fair
this out.
fight.
It's now a fair fight. Right.
Yeah, totally. But okay, Reinhardt does know that he is vulnerable, as that he is on the front lines. Well, not the front. That's Mittermeier's job. But he is
He is out there.
He is in the stage of war, so that means he does need to be prepared for anything sneaky and underhanded. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yes, wrote a sci-fi novel called Battle Lines. Yeah, I mean, you've probably heard of it many times before, but it is on Amazon if you want to check it out. Links in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.